I'm not even going to start this video with a joke. This movie is absolutely terrible. Like, I've gone through every single movie that I've watched that I can remember as being absolutely god-awful, and this is still the worst one. It is in a league of its own. Honest to God, does this look like the face of a man whose life hasn't been ruined by this movie? No, the answer is no, this movie sucks. I love movies. I watch a lot of them, so it was inevitable that I would eventually bring them up in a video of mine, and I always thought it would be something that I enjoy, like how the leitmotifs in the original soundtrack of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 represent how Peter views a father and how that view changes over the course of the movie.
Great score by Tyler Bates. You know, wonderful father-son theme. I think that, you know, one of the interesting things we did with the score here is we created this father-son theme that we hear playing throughout when Peter Quill is touched by his father, and yet it plays out at the end with Yondu. That's when the father-son theme really comes into play, because he is the true father and Ego is the fake father.
Or maybe how lateral direction is used in probably my favorite movie of all time, Snowpiercer, as a physical representation of decision making. But it's not that, because I watched this piece of shit Cursed Demon movie. Even Superfast, a Fast and the Furious parody, which is so low quality it looks like a student film. Even that, which made only 10% of its money back, still more enjoyable than Airplane Mode. I will stake my reputation on it. There is at least one good joke in that movie. But do you know what is fun? Today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Do you have other games on that phone of yours? Well, by golly, you better get rid of them, because this game is going to blow them out of the water. Don't get rid of Flappy Bird, you can't get it back, Twitter told me. This is the most impressive mobile game that I've ever seen. It's an RPG with an expansive storyline, big boss fights, giant boss fights, somehow even bigger boss fights. There's a PvP system, and there's a huge amount of party customization because of the huge champion roster. And on top of that, it looks absolutely phenomenal, which is probably why it has 10 million downloads in only 3 months. The amazing graphics even trickle down to the character models. Like, they look absolutely astounding, and you would assume my favorite one is the one I chose at the start that I've poured all of this time and resources into. Maybe it's one of the other Raid champions that have these really cool graphical effects. It's not. It's just this guy, because he's a dude, and I... Get him, dude. Yeah. And I'm not the only person enjoying this game, which is why it has over 200,000 reviews with an almost perfect 5 out of 5 score, which is genuinely impressive. It's probably due to the continuous updates from the team. The roadmap for the next 6 months includes a new faction, tag team PvP arena, and a new clan boss for people that have friends. You can find me with the name Kappa Kaiju, obviously, and with the clan name, The Boys, again, obviously. So why wait? If you join now, you get 50,000 free silver and a free epic champion for joining with the new player program. It supports the game, and it supports me. Thanks again to Raid for sponsoring this video. It allows me to celebrate with my favorite meal, food. Airplane Mode is a movie made by our favorite star child, Logan Paul, and by star child I mean throw him into the stars so he has no creative control over anything anymore. In fact, I'm not even sure if he's proud of this movie anymore, seeing as when it was released, it just flew completely under the radar and hasn't been mentioned in like any of his videos, so he's clearly not pulling attention to it. IMDb credits 4 writers on this project, 2 of them being the directors, which is extremely common, and the other 2 being Jake and Logan Paul. I don't know how much involvement Jake has, but it seems, based off the fact that Logan was the main PR man, he was the main pusher of it, it was always on his channel, that he was the creative device for this, that it is his movie, so I'll be referring to it as such from now on. Speaking of production, this movie had quite a troubled one. If you've heard the term airplane mode in relation to a movie or Logan Paul, it was probably something in reference to about 2 years ago, where it was delayed by about a month due to copyright issues with someone taking the copyright because they didn't actually file a copyright for the movie Airplane Mode, which wasn't that big of an issue. Oh, but what's that? Rising in the distance. The sun, get it? Rising, Japan. Yeah, this movie wrapped principal photography in June of 2016. It was only released last month. I would have preferred never, but that's besides the point. What's made even weirder by the fact that Logan himself stated that the movie was written over the course of about 2 years, which means, according to him, this movie from development to distribution took 5 years to come out. This movie was practically finished by the time Logan took a plane to Japan and subsequently crashed it into his career. Also, in case you haven't caught on yet, yeah, the Japan incident was what stopped this movie from coming out. That's what delayed it. Looking back at the rare few interviews around the time the movie was filmed and completed, Logan's cockiness proves that he either impulsively lies or he doesn't know what makes a movie good, to the point that is almost tempting fate. In the span of a minute, he says two things. The first one being, "We knew we played to everyone's strengths, and that's why the movie's so great." And the script spoke for itself. Luckily, the script is fucking great. But making a movie doesn't end there. Okay, so they've gone through development, they've done the production, they've filmed it, it's all done. What's the last step? Distribution. Well, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? It's YouTube Premium. Yes, but actually no. Being human, and therefore curious about things, I tried to find out exactly where I could buy or watch this movie, which turns out to be quite a struggle, but I found my first answer on YouTube. Just illegally. It took me all but 5 minutes to find a full version of the movie uploaded on YouTube illegally. It took me another hour or so to find out that you can buy it on Amazon Videos, which is different from Prime Video. It took me another day to figure out it's on iTunes. In fact, I only realized because of a news article on the actual movie, and another 3 days to find it on the Microsoft Store, which is available on the HoloLens, whatever the fuck that is. Turns out, naming a movie after a feature every single modern smartphone in the world has right now may have been a bit too optimistic about how well it would perform. Strangely enough, that clusterfuck of a production actually had no effect on how bad the movie is. It's just like that. It's bad for all the same reasons that a Lele Pons video is bad. You know what I'm talking about? Like, funny, is loud and nothing else, uninventive writing, every single scene is exactly the same with the same softbox lighting and basically no cinematography. It looks like they just pointed the camera in the general direction of people. Cinematography doesn't matter, I guess. It's only a movie. Why would you ever need it? There's like one interesting shot, almost interesting shot in the entire movie, and it's this. That's it. That's it. That's all of the interesting cinematography right there. And in all honesty, it's only really that interesting in comparison to the rest of the movie being paced as shit. One thing that does separate it from a Lele Pons video is actually how disgustingly crude and virile it is. Now, am I a prude old man that just hates all forms of lowbrow comedy? No, of course not. It's not my favorite. I will say that, but like American Pie is a classic and nothing can take away from it. That's not what I'm talking about. No, this movie is one of the most disgusting that you could possibly ever watch. In my eyes, lowbrow humor is very equatable to highly intense violence. You know, there are ways to do it right. There's ways to do it kind of respectfully, I guess you could say, and interestingly. It's like the difference between, you know, John Wick 3 and Raid the Redemption, and just watching people die on Live Leak. Can you guess which side of the metaphorical spectrum airplane mode lands on? I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with Live Leak. The crude humor does confuse me though, because it puts into question who's watching this movie. Is it Logan's fan base? Because their parents really shouldn't let them anywhere near this movie, and it's probably not going to be people my age, because I am on the lower end of the intelligence spectrum. I mean, for God's sake, the first scene in the movie is him talking to his girlfriend in Australia so we can jerk off to her, which makes me really sad. Being a movie, someone of course walks in on him, and it's this guy, wow, to much fanfare. I don't know who he is. There's a joke about almond milk being called nut milk, it being stored next to his socks. Hilarious joke, amazing build up, don't worry about it. Which all culminates in this very beautiful line.
What about your real brother, Jake?
Oh, Disney got him.
Have I mentioned that this was filmed in 2016 yet? Cause it was. I could stake my entire life that even if you were an AI and analyzed every movie, every continuation of a plot to ever appear in a film, that even you wouldn't be able to guess what happens next, because it doesn't further the plot. It doesn't build atmosphere. It's not even really a joke. It just happens that Lele Pons walks into his room, films him jerking off, and then tries to post it on Twitter, which would ruin his social life and very possibly his career, which again is a really, really well-written trait of Lele Pons, because we all know that this represents her perfectly, because Lele Pons is very clearly a terrible, disgusting human being. The script just, it just plays to everyone's strengths. What the fuck? Long story short, people start showing up out of the woodworks, I don't know who you are, to tell Logan about #Tagacon, Hey Peaks, which is a convention where the main goal is to be popular and cheat on your partner. I still don't know who you are. At which point Logan reveals the stunning plot point that is completely gross and, what the fuck? Why? In this touching moment, brought to you by aggressively soft lighting for no reason, Logan reveals that he can't fly or jump because of plot point, which are, get this, 2 of the 4 character traits he really actually has, which are never really directly shown to the audience except for the previously stated almost good cinematography scene, which is basically the only time they actually show him being scared of something, like being scared of flying. The rest of the time, he just gets on the plane and then says that he can't fly, and says that he can't jump at the start, which, get this, and I can't believe this is he just jumps at the end of the movie. The script is so good. As the first rule of cinema states, tell but never show. That's for people that care. If your character's afraid of rice that's standing up while you're cooking it, by God, you better tell everyone, you better exposition the shit out of them. That character better tell everyone in his goddamn life that he's afraid of that rice, but never show it. Never show it. If you need any more proof of how astoundingly good this script is and how amazing of a comedic writer Logan Paul is, look no further than the scene just after the pointless Judd Apatow-esque scene where they just throw stuff at each other and just talk in the general direction of each other, where he finally talks to his e-girlfriend about e-coming to Australia. Logan's method here seems to be sticking to ye olde faithful, which is better known as not writing jokes because you're too fucking lazy. They're the jokes that everyone's heard of Australia, you know, snakes, spiders, everything wants to kill you here, didgeridoo, dollaridoo, boomerang, crikey. Logan's jokes here aren't offensive, by the way, like, don't misconstrue this. I'm not insulted by this because the Australia that is talked about in movies is a separate Australia to what's actually real. I live in real Australia. The jokes are made about movie fake Australia. Completely separate. It's not that they're offensive or that they insult me. It's that they're fucking boring as shit. If the level of comedic integrity in your writing for a feature-length film is the exact same as somebody on Twitter who thinks they're funny, that's not good. This is the biggest crime of the movie, by the way. It's not that the movie's disgusting, which it is. It's not that the movie doesn't really seem to have much effort in it, which it doesn't. Those are all bad, but I've seen movies that do it worse, that have less technical prowess, that have less care put into them, that just have nothing going for them. But at the very least, they're not as completely and utterly boring as this piece of shit. I could bunker down and analyze every scene that they've done, every framing technique, every plot point, talk about how they work together, at which point I would be spending more time on this movie than the people who made it, which is besides the point. What I'm trying to say is that I could do all of that, and I could say it's bad because of these reasons. End of the day, it doesn't matter. This movie is boring. Imagine how annoying the Australian caricature was the first time she was introduced. Then imagine how annoying it was the second time she was in the film. Then imagine how annoying it was the third time an Australian shows up, which is just translating all of the traits from the first one onto a completely different character, which slows down the plot of the movie significantly for like 10 minutes. Am I in purgatory? What's the point of watching this? I don't care anymore.
Also, I just realized that there's an armadillo in the background, and armadillos aren't native to Australia. I don't think that's the joke. I don't think this is a joke. I think they just genuinely don't know what comes from Australia or not.
Even when the movie is so disgusting where it seems like the point of the scene is to inspire outrage, it's to spark controversy, it doesn't make me angry or furious. it makes me feel positively catatonic. The airport scene is amazingly worse than all of the Australian scenes combined because it's even lazier than them. I didn't think that was possible, but it's just a reason to do racist jokes and jokes everyone's already heard from a stand-up comic on his first night. You know, Muslims at the airport, that's not topical even for 2016. We've got jokes about Europeans being inbred, which is just a joke that's existed since like the 1300s, really not topical. It's just, I feel uncomfortable watching this now. There's jokes about Mexican immigration. Wow, what an amazingly topical joke. Oh my god, there's TSA cavity checks. Everyone's heard that. Poor luggage handling. Are you fucking serious? Everyone's heard that. Extra, what the fuck? What? Again, this was shot in 2016 and apparently was being written since 2014. And even then, the jokes weren't exactly new or topical, which isn't bad. There's no shame in reusing the same template for a joke or the same topic, but you have to put in a spin on it. You have to play with people's expectations. You have to twist it. Don't make it the centerpiece for the entire scene for like 30 seconds and do nothing with it. Oh my god. My least favorite part of this movie is immediately after he boards, and at this point I'm skipping most of the movie because the secret is the scenes don't relate to each other. They just don't. It's a complete fucking mess. Logan's mum texts him calling back to a previous scene that happened at the very start of the movie, which serves no narrative purpose. This doesn't exist for any reason until the very end, where she sends basically nude photographs to him, which is, I want to use the term scarring. It's not even that bad. It wouldn't be that bad. That's a lie. It would be that bad, but it would be so much less terrible if they just went along with the fact it's a movie. Logan said in interviews before, this character is Logan Paul, but it is a version of him. It's not actually him, which makes sense. There are creative liberties you can take. It's a movie, but for some fucking reason, they actually photoshopped his real mum's face onto this woman. Why? Why did you make me see that? That is, oh my god. If anyone in the audience can induce a coma, please comment down below. I will pay. I'll do anything. I will kill. I will burn places to the ground. Just put me under. I want to go. I'm done. That's it for me. Get on my nice suit. Go under. Have a nice night. Haha. Okay, mind you, we're only 16 minutes into this movie. There's still about another hour to go. The only saving grace from the last scene, the only saving grace, is that most people wouldn't have watched this far, which completely makes sense. I hate so much of myself for doing this. Man, why couldn't I have just like made a 5-minute video, made a 10-minute video, make a 11-minute video, be like, haha, this movie sucks. Oh, but no, I had to go and watch the whole thing. I had to break down every single scene. I had to do all this stupid shit and all this research. There's a big difference between writing a video and doing it. And it's really hitting me like right now how easy it would have been to just not watch this. You know? I could have spent time with my family.
This crisis of faith was brought to you by Raid Shadow Legend.
See, I've written down the next about 40 minutes of plot points that I will now list off to you so that I don't have to explain them. Stock standard love interest. Ha ha ha, it's penis, but actually it's penny, but actually it's still penis. Nice work totally not subverting expectations with that joke. Famous person, written as if they're in a void, which I'm just going to refer to as void from now on. Stereotypical aggressive gay man who is the gay. Plot point, I just wrote that down. Now it looks like the sex. Crazy party that isn't a joke, nor is it canon. I don't know why that exists, actually. Gay man does the gay roast thing on the woman, because he's gay. Void. Literally the same joke from Airplane, but worse.
Like I like my women, black and full of cream.
Man breastfeeds a baby. That's just gross. I don't like that. This whole scene is somehow even worse as, oh man. Man stands up for a speech which is supposed to be a joke. Void. I don't think Amanda has said anything since the start of the movie. Void. Vitaly is going around killing people. Also void. And the rest of the movie is just iterations on what I just listed. That was a paragraph. It was a pretty decent paragraph, but it was only a paragraph. I just described the whole movie. And guess what? Me reading that list was more enjoyable than watching it. Honest to God. You've just experienced the whole movie. You don't even need to pay for it. Also, Logan can hear gay men's thoughts. I don't know if that's ever explained as to why or why it's so specific. I'm not going to rewatch it to find out. But if you ever watch it for yourself and it is explained, don't tell me. Next, Vitaly chloroforms the entire plane at the same time somehow with a canister of chloroform that was sitting around for some reason. Logan goes out to fight him, or whatever that is. It's not a fight, it's more like wasting my fucking time. He loses, but then he saves the gay man. But he doesn't save the air stewardess who, like, just dies. She's so dead. Oh my god, King Batch is dead as well. There's a lot of people dying in this movie. He goes back, Vitaly dies because I don't care. I don't care. Oh no, the plane's gonna crash, because of course it is. It's been crashing for like the last half an hour. But let's not actually stop the plane from crashing, because I want to make jokes at each other for no reason that aren't funny. Yay! Of course, the savior of the day is YouTube, because of course it is, where they learn how to Tokyo drift a plane to stopping. But not before another crude joke.
Of course, your sister said you're looking at anime porn again.
She's lying.
Thank you, Logan. I'll treasure this joke forever. You get the rest of this. He doesn't want the girlfriend, he wants the new girl. For some reason, that it doesn't make any sense as to why. It's just how movies work. He gets the new girl, happily ever after, except for the guy that got stabbed. He's dead. Yeah, he's dead. King Batch is dead as well. Air stewardess. I think somebody else died. There's a few people that probably died. I don't really remember. This movie sucks. I just gave a quick rundown of the entire movie, while also pointing out specific sections that I wanted to talk about that were indicative of a problem that the movie has. That's very common for reviews to do, and you may think that when I brought out those specific topics that it applies to a very niche part of that movie. That problem is selective across the entirety of it. It's not. If I said that there is a problem with this movie, if I said that there's bad writing, there is bad writing for the entirety of the movie. It is a terrible movie. It never breaks out into something that's watchable. It's always a complete mess. I hated this. I watched this movie a few times because obviously I'm making a video on it and I'll have to watch it a little bit while editing it. And I can say, in my professional opinion, with absolute certainty, that spending that time sitting in a dark room pretending the movie doesn't exist would have been more enjoyable. There's never a point where the crude humor is anything but distasteful. There's never a point where they play off stereotypes, but instead fall directly into those stereotypes. There's never a point where a creator is written like an actual person and not a coagulation of character traits that may or may not exist on an actual person. I really, really don't like the influences in this movie. There's something weird about the way they're written and the way that they're directed that it makes it feel like they're performing in just an empty space, completely separated from the rest of the world, even when two of them are literally right next to each other. They feel like they're not from the same scene, like one of them was CGI'd in. It was without a doubt the worst movie I've ever seen, and the most boring. I'm never going to rewatch this. I'm never going to ironically watch this. I will probably just burn all traces of me watching this from my hard drive as soon as this is over. Go watch any other movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that came out. That's out now. Go watch Snowpiercer. That's a really good movie. watch that instead. Watch anything. That's my recommendation. That's my official 0 out of 5, 0 out of 10. Anything else, just do that. This movie is not good. Some of Logan's fans may say something like, "Oh, he's just an amateur. He's not a professional. He doesn't know what he's doing. Cut him some slack. This is his first time. You wouldn't have done any better if you were in his situation." And yeah, maybe. I don't know how good I would be at making a movie. I just know that since I don't know how to really make a movie and I'm not confident, I'm not gonna make one. Because that would be a mistake. Thanks for watching to the end. I hope you enjoyed this. And thanks again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this. I actually do like the product. I play it too much. I would appreciate it if you check them out. It does actually help me. So if you want to support me, support them with the links below. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.